Welcome to Eurosatory News, the leading media platform specializing in defense and security. Today, we look back at the Eurosatory 2026 press conference.
I will invite Charles Beaudouin, president of Coges, which organizes Eurosatory as a global event, but he's also chairing the International Mountain Troops and Extreme Cold Operations Summit, the Ideas Meeting, and you organize Eurosatory, which is an essential event, especially given the current international context and the multiplication of conflict. Emmanuel Levacher, president of GICAT. GICAT is the Association of French Land and Airland Defense and Security Industries, and you're also the chairperson of Arcus, the leading supplier of land vehicles to the French Army. So, a few figures to tell us more about the GICAT. Well, hello everyone. I'm delighted to meet with you today. GICAT includes more than 500 members. They represent the land air defense and security sector, French companies, 15 billion euros in revenue, 55,000 jobs in France, all over the territory. And now, if we talk about this in a wider context, let's remind that France is the second largest weapons exporter in the world. And this is an industry that needs to adapt because quite clearly we've entered a new era. Yes, I don't think that's news to anybody. And if we go back in time, the shift took place at the beginning of 2000, and then it sped up with the annexation of Crimea, the re-emergence of terrorism, and the different crises that accumulated. And we have many different crises that come on top of one on top of the other, with a level of imprevisibility which is absolutely hallucinating. And we also remember of the good old days when we were benefiting from the dividends of peace and from an environment in which multilateralism and international organizations were used to sort out conflicts. But now it's the use of force which is used. And this is what we see every day. And can it be declined in the different subsectors? Because Eurosatory is at the crossroad between defense, civilian security, and domestic security. So there is the army, security, and civilian forces. So a few figures to tell us about the magnitude of Eurosatory. Well, Eurosatory is more than 2,100 exhibitors, so more than in London, Abu Dhabi, and Riyadh. 65 countries, 330 official delegations in defense and security. It's a B2B exhibition, G2G, government to government and business to government. Okay, so 125,000 square meters with something new, which is Hall 4, meaning that you increasingly need space to demonstrate what the profession does. Well, yes, we have opened a new hall, 20,000 square meters, which filled up very quickly. So as compared to 2024, where we had to increase the number of official delegations, especially coming from the east of Europe, today what we see is that the fact that the United States have adopted a very special position vis-à-vis NATO, and the Europeans have understood that the Americans would not put boots on the ground, and that they will have direct confrontation with Russia on the borders, with Russia, which is not losing its war and which has totally refurbished its army. Then there is the conflict in the Middle East, which is strengthening new forms of war that we've seen emerging. So all this all this makes these state and industrial players emerge. So you talked about the industry that will be present in June, and what are the largest countries present? There is Germany, but then after that, in terms of number of exhibitors, well, the number one is France, 700 French exhibitors, beyond GICAT itself. And the mobilization of French players, startup and large companies, with new players that come and want to play a role in defense, that's new. Second is Germany, in terms of number of exhibitors, more than 200. Then the US, 170 roughly, then Italy, the UK, Turkey, and then Spain. And then the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Korea, all large countries are present, all Europe is present, all NATO is present. And then 5 countries that were not present last time, Chile, Vietnam, Malta, Uzbekistan, and Liechtenstein. And 64% of exhibitors were present already. So they're true to this exhibition. Yes. But there is also renewal of exhibitors because 30% of exhibitors are new. This morning, Alice Ruffo, the Minister for the Armies, was saying that the war is not behind us. The conflict theatres are multiplying throughout the world. This bellicose fever will be in the mind of everybody attending Eurosatory. So what are the consequences of these phenomena on defense and security firms in France? Well, the first consequence is raising awareness from the authority and a significant increase in the budget dedicated for defense everywhere in the world, and more specifically in Europe. So there is pressure on the industry in order to support this effort and to provide the equipment. And these are many business opportunities. Let's speak plainly. There are business opportunities for the defense industry, but it's also a responsibility. We need to produce more and faster. We will talk about this when we move to our roundtable later. But as president of GICAT, Eurosatory is a true opportunity. But this edition, this new edition, because Eurosatory is organized every other year. So what's new this year? Well, as Charles said, this is a huge exhibition. This is the global exhibition for land forces. It's a place where everybody is going to showcase their technologies, but it's far more than that. It's a place for debate. It's a place where you can set up partnerships, and it's an exhibition where we host the world. So this is a unique platform that industrial companies do appreciate a lot. And the entire defense ecosystem is present, absolutely. And journalists, experts, governments will see that this is the perfect venue because we have the largest offering in the world for new trends and for new necessities. Because today we see that we are having all the new trends represented on this show, and you see many industries displaying their entire chain for the production of ammunitions and weapons and weapon systems. But we also see big tech being very present, and Ukraine was a perfect precursor. Large companies in tech show us that we are in the world of AI, from the highest level of decision-making, from the command forces, all the way to troops on the ground. So on the short run, this will totally modify our defense industry in order to meet the capacity challenges that we have, in order to be faster, to include AI, quantum technologies, and space. And that's true for companies that exist already, that are well established, but also for startup companies. Yes, we have a special hall for startups, 1,000 square meters. We have more than 100 startup companies presented. Other startup companies decided to have their own booth. But it would be an illusion for people, for governments to think that they can catch up by their that they can catch up by just ordering more weapons. They will need to move to startups, and we see that Ukraine resists Russia thanks to big tech. So drones, will they be located in a specific area like the Eurosatory lab? Yes, but we don't have specifically dedicated areas, so we will make means so that visitors can decide on their visit, but drones will be present a bit everywhere. In the past, there were not armed drones. Now you have drones carrying weapons which are capable of moving with no GPS technology, and that's totally new. The notion of long-range missiles was not there 2 years ago, and now it's very much present. So the space of defense is totally changed. Emmanuel Levacher, you confirmed that robots and big tech will be very much present and have increased over the last 2 years. Yes, like Charles said, it's a major trend. And as it was said, drones are a bit everywhere. And when we talk about drones, it's robotization, digitization, and this everywhere, and not just in the air. So when you talk about drones, you talk about anti-drone technology, because you have to protect against drones. So we protect our vehicles against drones, and we need to find the proper means to be protected against drones. Then there are new players in the industrial ecosystem, as you said, but then there are investment funds and banks that finance defense. Yes, and you can see how much we've done since 2022. Today, banks are very much aware of what they need to do, and for the first time at Eurosatory, we'll have specific area for investors, because they want to support the militarization of big tech. They're not just there to provide funding to Thales. They are there to make sure that these technologies that are very much present in the civilian environment can also be deployed in the military environment. And we will eventually see a genuine private-public partnership in this field. Thank you. So the new rules of the game can't be achieved without men and women. So we know that the defense industry is 55,000 jobs in France, and it will continue growing because you have real needs. Yes, and we need to mobilize all stakeholders, finance, HR, and we've set up this industry, 100,000 jobs in the land defense industry, and we have more than 10,000 jobs and positions that need to be filled in the industry for our land forces, and more than 30,000 in the entire defense industry. So there is a big challenge in terms of attractiveness and the ability to offer interesting positions, well-paid jobs that can't be relocated. So there is a major interest in the industry of defense. So what kind of jobs? Well, it ranges from the high school type of diploma to engineers, but it's not just in engineering. We also need salespeople and other types of profile. And all this can be seen in a specific forum called the Job Corner. Yes, and it's increased in size. We are working with the representative of the government and job agencies. We have a partnership in order to be in touch with the largest possible number of candidates. So you expect young people to come and visit the show? Yes, students, graduates. We have lots of people demonstrating their interest for our professions. And the defense industry has sort of showed what it has to offer, because we were in some kind of a secret environment in the past, but now we're showing what we have to offer. Okay, so beyond the halls, we'll have demonstrations. So tell us what we can see. Well, these demonstrations will allow visitors to have this feeling of immersion, because the armies are something that very few people know. And the land forces are making huge efforts to make a presentation of their forces, of their capabilities. And we will also have presentations by the police forces and by the fire brigade, with many innovative technologies, and we'll see the interest of robots in all their dimensions for land forces and for the Air Force or the Navy. And we'll have very high-level conferences, by the way. And if you look at the program of conferences, you'll see that there is a perfect description of the topics that we'll be focusing on today. And we will also be talking about some countries in which you have narco-trafficking problems and many tensions. And if we need to rethink the way we defend our countries, and let's not forget about climate change, which will lead to massive migrations, and we are there to offer potential solutions. This is what we see in the HELPed program. Yes, we are the only ones in the world who came up with an exhaustive solution, because we're talking to the states. So we analyze what challenges the states have to face. So they have to face challenges in terms of security, in terms of climate change, and we offer them an exhaustive solution. And we talk to Europe in order to make sure that we ensure the safety and security of our citizens, so that in the face of an internal crisis, we can respond quickly. As for Eurosatory, is this a venue where people can sign contracts? Well, all these defense shows are a place where people can be in touch and can potentially sign contracts, but this is not necessarily the #1 objective. It's a bit like the Bourget exhibition. People are in touch and they discuss. Maybe there will be some announcements, but we are there to help business grow thanks to this type of platform. And this will be in June, 15th to 19th of June.